Hello, and welcome to From God's Heart to Mine. Thanks for joining me as we aim to draw nearer to God every day. I hope you're having a good day. And today we're going to be considering Genesis 1, verse 1, starting quite literally in the beginning. I find it interesting that the first chapter of the Bible is not apologetic in nature. When we think about apologetics, we're thinking about making a defense of what we believe. And there are portions of the Bible that are inherently apologetic, that offer reasons for the claims that are being made and defend what's being said. You think about Acts 17 and Paul's sermon on Mars Hill, that he's proclaiming the truth of God and giving some evidence for it. But Genesis 1 is not apologetic in nature, even though it's making a number of claims that we would defend apologetically. Instead, Genesis 1 is theological in nature. That is, the Bible doesn't begin by defending the fact that God does exist. Instead, it begins by telling us something about who God is, by telling us what he did. And so it's not trying to prove that God exists there in Genesis 1, verse 1. It simply states it as a fact. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." And that one statement, affirmed there at the beginning, opening verse of the Bible, is so powerful in its implications. Frank Jesser, in his book Thinking Right About God, says in the first chapter that the first four words there, "in the beginning God," imply everything that follows in the 66 books of the Bible. That's where we start. And everything that's contained within that statement leads to everything we believe as Christians. When we think about what makes our worldview what is, how do you view the world around you? How do you interpret things that happen in the world? What's the standard you use to examine yourself and reflect on your own life and to think about the kind of person you should be? All of those things are wrapped up in our worldview, the lens through which we view reality. And the Christian worldview begins with, "In the beginning, God." And that statement on its own leads to everything we believe as Christians. You take that statement away, you have anything other than "in the beginning, God," and the Christian worldview is not what you hold. There's so much packed into that verse. But today, just think about how everything in your life should be tied to that foundational perspective. If "in the beginning God" is true, then everything that follows should shape how you live every day. The decisions I make, the priorities I show, the words that I say should all reflect the truth of Genesis 1 and verse 1. And we don't often think about that verse in such a way, but it really is such a big picture of what this whole reality and this universe is all about, because in the beginning, God. And if your life, your identity, and your choices don't begin there, then you should probably go and reframe the way you think about God and your relationship with Him and your life in serving Him in this world. When you pray today, pray with the mindset that everything in your heart and in your life that you want to pray about all ties back to "in the beginning, God." Psalm 46 and verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I think that's a lot easier to do when we really grasp "in the beginning, God." Thanks for listening to From God's Heart to Mine. Follow the podcast if you want to hear a new devotional thought every weekday. My name is Caleb Griffith. You can reach out to me on any platform, and I'll include you in my prayers today. Open your heart today to pursue God's heart and try to show his heart to others.